Hey everybody, it's Kneecap here, and in this video got a little bit of news from the PTR. I'm going to be talking about the Torghast experience that will be coming in 9.1.5. Had a chance to test this out a little bit, have some thoughts on it, and yeah, I'll be sharing those with you now. So I got into the PTR, copied over a character that still needed the level, so I could test out the experience. And I will say this is not there's already been patch notes where they upped the experience. So I'll mention that throughout this video as well. So this is with the old amount of experience, and it is probably a bit too low, I would say. So I will touch on all that, but just wanted to say that up front. So I copied over my Death Knight, who's like level 54 or something like that. Brought him on the PTR and went to go test out the Torghast. Now, the first thing that was a little bit odd, when I had logged on last time, there was just a quest in Oribos. Like if you went to your map, it would even show like a quest marker on the map. There was no quest marker, which I imagine is going to get fixed. But if you just go talk to, I can't remember, Talana or whatever, the person by the mission board thing, or Bolvar, when you first get to Oribos, those guys. If you go talk to them, one of them will send you to Torghast to start doing stuff there. And basically you can get experience by running Torghast. And, you know, it's not a ton just for running it, but you do get experience for running it. So, you go into Torghast, you don't do the actual wings. You do the same wings for the week, but you use like the waypoint thing that you use for the quests to go inside. And you do a scaled down version of Torghast. So it's not very hard. The mobs especially not very hard. The bosses seem like they have a ton of health though. And I'd really like to see the experience specifically of the bosses just be way higher, or just lower their health. Because everything else seems pretty smooth for like a leveling character and leveling gear. But the bosses, the damage isn't too awful, but the health seemed a bit high, honestly. So you also will get a weekly quest to complete. This has already been in the game, or already been on the PTR, but they will be upping the experience for this quest for completing it. So this quest currently also makes you do 2 wings of Torghast to complete, and it will only be 1 wing of Torghast to complete when it goes live. So I still had the old version, so I did 2 wings of Torghast and the quest, and that got me about 2/3 of a level. And time-wise, that was not very good. So I wasn't like super prepared for this. I didn't have all my keybind set for this character on the PTR and stuff. So I did like subtract some time from my time, but it took, it probably took 35 to 40 minutes to do both wings and to only get 2/3 of a bar or 2/3 of a level. It didn't feel great. I know you don't want to just do. It probably wouldn't also feel good to just do like 10 layers of Torghast and go from 50 to 60. I don't know if that's correct either, but it just didn't feel. It didn't feel good. I think with the quest. Essentially, I think for the weekly quest, that should almost give you like a full level or something, or something along those lines, where it's just doing that weekly quest really pumps you up or something. And they are up in the experience of it, like I said. But yeah, to reiterate, doing 2 wings, full clear, killing every mob. The mobs do not give very much experience. Plus the quest did about 2/3 of a level. That's a weekly quest. So grinding the Torghast would not be super efficient compared to just doing quests or even doing dungeons if you can queue as a tank or a healer. It wouldn't be super efficient. So hopefully they are upping the experience. That's the good news. And hopefully they think about just upping it even more than what they already are planning on. That would be my hope for it, because it wasn't terribly efficient otherwise. And it was a full clear. The mobs don't give a ton of experience, so maybe just skipping mobs would make it more efficient and skipping things. But what makes it kind of fun on an alt is you're getting these new powers, and it's kind of fun to have these new powers on a character that doesn't have any gear, because it makes you kind of feel powerful. So by the end of the run, your level 54 alt actually feels powerful at the end, whereas normally you're not feeling too powerful as a leveling character. So that part is cool. There are some other upsides to this as well. You do get renown for running this, similar to what you would in a dungeon, however. And you also get tower knowledge for doing this. So tower knowledge, you do not get very much tower knowledge, but you could have a handful of skill points unlocked by the time you ding 60 if you're leveling in Torghast or whatever exclusively. You'd have some of your Torghast stuff already unlocked when you hit 60. So then when you're going in there for your Soul Cinders, or whatever the currency happens to be, you would be, at least have a little bit of a head start on that. That's a plus. The renown is a plus, and you also do get soul ash, so you will be able to, from the weekly quest, you get soul ash. I can't remember. I think you might get some from the very end as well. But either way, you can start acquiring some soul ash as well while you're leveling to make maybe your just first legendary. Instead of making a rank 6 right away. Well, you still need the soul ash for a rank 6 if you don't have a starter piece. So you'd get some soul ash built up as well on that leveling character. So that's positive. So you can build up soul ash, you can build up tower knowledge, you can build up renown. These are all good things for the leveling experience, and they're all from the same thing. You don't have to do multiple things to do those. I would say the experience just needs to be buffed. But it is kind of what I hoped for. So I found myself now, I don't know how to play my Death Knight that well. I had just switched to Frost recently while leveling, and and then frankly not having my keybinds correct. I had like 4 or 5 buttons that I normally use that are bound, just not bound. So that obviously affected things as well. But by the end of it, you feel powerful, you feel strong, and that's kind of what I think this should feel like. And I think Torghast should be a way to just kind of power level your characters up if people want to do it, because it is actually kind of fun, especially for alts. I understand why people don't find it fun on their main necessarily, because you're, especially if you overgear it, or maybe you undergear it and you just can't even finish it at the top level, and it's just not very fun. But nobody will have a problem finishing this, so it's literally for everybody, and you just build up your alts, give them cool powers, and get experience for doing it. And yeah, I don't know where the magic number would be. I think maybe like 1 full run of Torghast, and maybe give bonus for doing a full clear experience wise, so make the mobs give good experience. But like maybe like a full clear of Torghast should be like half a level or something like that, and then the weekly quest is half a level. So if you do the weekly quest, you essentially get a full level for doing the weekly quest. And so like you could just level your characters up, all of your alts up over the course of 2.5 months, or you can mix in other things as well. But I think that's probably where you should hit. And then so if you wanted to level an alt completely, you would do roughly, and it would be roughly. It wouldn't be always a half level. Some things have more mobs than others, etc. But just generally speaking, I think where you'd want to fall is somewhere around there. That would be 9 levels. So that would be 19 runs of Torghast if you wanted to level up in 1 week. And I think that's plenty fair. I don't know exactly what the dungeon is. I've leveled most of my characters by dungeons, actually, in this expansion. But I actually have never really paid attention to how many I've run. But I think like 19 runs of Torghast is pretty fair. Probably less than 20 minutes per run on average, especially once you get the hang of it on your alt. You might even be like, talking like 15 minutes or something like that with this new 5-floor system. And then, so honestly, I don't think that's too bad. I don't know if that would be the most efficient way to do it still, but I do know that it's kind of fun to do it that way. But the fun's going to be taken away if you have to just if you had to run it, let's say 60 times, that takes the fun out of it. But 19 times, I feel like you can kind of, check boxes on that. Be like, okay, only 15 more runs, only 12 more runs, only 5 more runs until you're done. Not that everyone would want to do it in 1 week anyways, but it's a realistic goal to set to where at least in like a month or something, even a casual player, you get the 4 levels for 4 runs, and then six more levels over the course of that month. Wouldn't be too hard if you wanted to only do in Torghast. You could also mix some other things in there as well. There's other weekly quests that they're adding as well that give bonus experience, and I imagine they're going to make them all kind of equal. I think there's like a PvP one and maybe a dungeon one. I can't remember exactly what they were. I know there's a PvP one, but they're adding these other weekly quests you can do, and yeah, so you could just mix those in with the Torghast if you wanted. But yeah, this is I like the best part about it for me is like you're acquiring endgame resources while you're leveling normally, and Threads of Fate did that with allowing you to acquire renown. But I think that's something that the game lacks a lot, is acquiring resources. They have all these resources for endgame, but like they lack ways to acquire them while you're leveling, which then makes that really awkward process that a lot of endgame players talk about, where you're level 60, but you have to do A through M, or A through Z in some cases maybe, of tasks before you're ready to actually play the character. So if you're able to check off some of those boxes while you're leveling, and the more the better, or at least have a head start on them. You don't have to, like when you ding 60, you shouldn't necessarily have all the soul cinders you need for 2 legendaries or whatever. But I do think it's actually reasonable, like if you only wanted to run Torghast, that when you ding 60, 50 to 60, I think it's completely reasonable that you would have not only Soul Ash, but Soul Cinders enough to do at least one rank 5 legendary. I think that's perfectly fine. If people want to put in that work and do that piece of content, and that's the piece of content that they're pushing for this X pack, I think you should reward them by letting them have a head start on the end game, when they get there. So that's my thoughts on it. Overall, it's really good. I think it could be much better, much like Torghast has been talked about throughout this entire expansion. It could just be better. I don't know why they're afraid just to go all out with it. There's obviously something internal going on there, but give it a ton of XP. Like I said, I gave a random thing where half a level, somewhere around there, but also give it the resources that you need to do it. Maybe add a Soul Ash. Maybe you don't need Soul Ash at all because you have some on your main. Give those people maybe a chance where they can trade Soul Ash in from the person that gives you the quest in Torghast or something. They can trade Soul Ash for Archivist Codex in Korthia, and then whatever the resources in the next patch, etc. Give some options to these players. This is your feature thing that you pushed, Torghast. And if people want to run it to level up, reward them for it. Give them a head start in the end game. That would be my advice. Any WoW dev that happens to randomly see this video, reward players who want to level in Torghast would be my advice to you there. So that's about it for this video. I hope I didn't sound too negative. It is overall a positive thing. And I actually enjoyed playing on it on an alt and getting to experience powers before I ever got to 60. I do want to really emphasize that I did enjoy it. I just hope it could be better and more rewarding is probably the proper word. So, like I said, that's it for this video. Please subscribe to the channel. It helps me out so much. And other than that, everybody, have a good one.